Hello, Booktube. YouTube put a message on my channel dashboard to remind me, in case I didn't know, that my channel is now 2 years old. And so this is a new tag, the Booktube Two-Bie tag. Yeah, so already 2 years gone. It's hard to believe. And I was casting around thinking, what shall I do for this birthday? What shall I do? And the Booktube bio tag is going round. It's making the rounds. I looked at it and thought, oh, I don't know. Booktube, can I just be frank with you? My life story contains a lot of decisions that I regret, a lot of mistakes made, a lot of choices I could have done better. I don't know if I want to share it. It's not like I'm a paragon or an example to be held up, that's for sure. So I was thinking, what else do I really want? I went back and watched my introductory video that I made 2 years ago and my Booktube Newbie video. And of course, they made me cringe the way they do. When you look back at those first videos, you think, oh, okay. Well, the message got across, but you know, a lot of room for improvement there. And what I would love to do is to be able to pin something to my channel, which still introduces this channel, gives you a sense of what content you'll provide, but is a little bit more up to date, you know, and doesn't make me cringe. So I've designed 8 questions, and they can be used if your channel is 2 years old, 3 years old, 4 years old. I suppose even if you're what would be called a Booktube elder, I'm sure you can answer these questions. There's 8 of them. They'll be down in my description box, and I'm going to run through them because these questions will give you an idea of where is this channel now after 2 years. Question 1. What were 3 things that you said in your Booktube Newbie video that are still true about your channel now? Okay, 3 things. 1, I said my channel would not be fun. And I think that's still true. Fun in terms of I'm never going to be broadly appealing or entertaining or popular. It's not me. This is a really bookish, nerdy channel. I can't apologize too much for that. I really love to go in deep when I read. I like to read a book and then I like to talk about that book in depth. I like to keep it to one book at a time, usually in a review. I don't tend to cover a whole load of books in a wrap-up if you really like that kind of thing. So that's point 2. Point 3, this is not a conspicuous consumption channel. You won't see me getting through incredible amounts of books in terms of reading, and you won't see me buying a large number of books. I went on a Read What I Own challenge not long into my channel's life, and I managed a whole year and only bought 4 books in that year, which I'd allowed myself. And even between the end of that challenge, 31st of October, and now, I've only purchased an additional 6 books, and most of those have been bought secondhand. The other thing that's the same about my channel is I still don't answer the questions I'm supposed to. If I do a tag video, you might get the answers to the tag questions, or you might get me answering some other question that I think is more relevant or makes more sense or appeals to me in some way. I'm still a bit of a rebel. I still do my own thing. And I still don't do tags on Tag Tuesday necessarily, although that could happen. Random. And the third thing is I still think my strength, that what this channel is going to be noted for and what would attract people to it if they're that kind of person, is that I still do slow analytical reading, and I think I have unique thoughts about the books that I read. I think I bring something fresh when I review a book that I'm not hearing when I see other people and I watch their videos. I think I have some unique thoughts about the books that I read. Question 2 is name 3 things about your channel that have changed since you did your Newbie video. Well, I show my face more. It's purely accidental. I don't really care whether you see it in this context or smaller, but I switched the way I film from using a webcam to using my mobile. So there we go, by default. I still try to give you a break from this old face with some pictures and stats and things. That's changed. Also, I'm less tied to a script than I was. I used to script word for word, and I really did rehearse and try to get everything word perfect. I don't worry about that so much now. I take more like point notes and try to work with those. And that's helping me. I'm also moved off my laptop where I did my scripts now, do a lot of scripts in a notepad just to get away from the screen for a little while. And then also I share a little bit more of my personal reaction to books, but I'm still careful about that. It still matters to me when I'm reviewing a book that people should understand what the book is more than what was my reaction to the book. I may share my reaction, but I'll qualify it and say, okay, look, this is a thing with me. So this part of the book I had a bit of fun with, but I could still see it appealing to different readers who like something different. Question 3, I'm to name 3 Booktube creators who've influenced the way I do my content or influenced what I read. And I've got to rebel against my own darn tag questions because I think three is in no way enough. A lot of people have influenced me. Let's talk about them. Marion, writer in Rwanda, has been really helpful because if it weren't for her, I probably wouldn't have switched to filming on my mobile. I would have thought, oh no, I was feeling a little bit, it's so safe to do what you've always done, doesn't it? But she did reach out to me, emailed me, said, look, your sound quality, like I really have to turn the volume right up. And even then I'm struggling to hear you. And I thought, well, I'm not happy about that. That does sound like something I need to fix. She's also given me advice on adding subtitles. Haven't taken that up, Marion, but please, it's still on my mind. It's just life, right? But I believe strongly that I will get to that. And then also I need to reach out to Joseph Francis Burton and say thank you very much because his channel, Joseph's not afraid to just tackle a huge reading project and really go into depth and cover everything thoroughly. And he made me realize, because I'd been watching a lot of these much younger Booktube creators with all their beautiful shelves in the background and fairy lights and always buying pretty new books. And I thought, I'm never going to be able to do this. I'm such a different reader. And then I found his channel and thought, okay, you know what? You can do the complete opposite. You can just literally buy a secondhand obscure book, read it, really read it, and have something to say about it because you've read a lot of other things that tie in. And I thought, yeah, okay, we can do this. We can go forward. So that's thanks to you, Joe. Now, third, and this is a recent channel that I'd really like you to subscribe to if you're not already, Andy at Really Random Reads. He's just come on and he, again, no frills. Andy just gets on camera and you should be tuning in because of what he has to say, not because he has an amazing backdrop behind him. That's not the point. The point is that he reads the books and he has a lot to say. And I love him because he comes out with things that I had never thought of. So he'll review a book that I've read and I'll think I know it. And Andy will say something and I'll go, oh, I never thought. I never saw. But yeah, he's right. He's made a brilliant point. And you might think this is strange, but I also want to reach out to 2 Booktube creators who tend to read fiction that's different than what I read normally. I am very broad. I'll read a little bit of a lot of things, but these guys specialize a little bit more. And because of their specialization, I've learned so much more and I've got a fair idea. If I did want to dip in to a couple of titles, it would be their recommendations that I turn to. And one is Gareth at Books, Songs and Other Magic for sci-fi, horror, and fantasy. I tell you what, there's a couple of titles I have bought purely because he's talked about them. And then there's Meg at Books Off the Beaten Path. Meg reads vintage fiction, I think fiction directed for women that's a little bit suspenseful, sometimes has a romance, but generally dates around the 50s and 60s. I didn't even know some of it was out there. Cherry Ames, I'd never heard of until I watched Meg's channel. But now, you know what? I probably will read a Cherry Ames. I think I put one in my Read What I Own wish list. And I thought, yeah, buy one, read one. They look like fun. Buy one that Meg has recommended that she really enjoyed. And so that's the influence of some booktubers, is that even though they might be reading a corner of the fiction world that you think, I hardly ever go there, or I've never gone there. And yet they're so enthusiastic and they're so down to earth that you just think, you know what? I'm going to read a Cherry Ames book just because I now know they're there and I know they're enjoyable. And question 4, describe your channel growth. And are you good with that? And I'm going to describe my channel growth. It is slow as molasses in January, as we say in places where molasses gets cold in January. That's not everywhere, but where I was born, it certainly was. Slow as molasses in January. Right now I'm sitting at 345 subscribers, and my subscription count has been going up and down between 345 and 349 for the last 4 weeks. It's been a hoot to watch it, going, okay, one more. Oh no, -1. Oh, +2. Oh, -1. Oh, +3. Yeah. Oh, -2. And it's just like, you just stop watching it. I don't mind that. I am totally good with that. And I'll tell you why. I'm not one of those people who ever knew what they wanted to do for a career, right? So yes, I ended up getting work because we all need to work. We all have mortgages and stuff that needs paying for. And I'm happy in my work, but I have realized that generally speaking, there's never going to be in office work a need for for part of my brain. Part of my brain wants to be really creative, wants to research things in depth, and then wants to talk about all that research. I just have never found a job that needs that, but I need it. And so YouTube, Booktube is my outlet for that half of my brain. When I'm finished work and I sign off for the day, I sit down and I think, okay, other half of my brain, go for it, because this is when you're needed. And so I need freedom. You know, the act of going to work and having to switch off that bit of your brain, I do that so that I can achieve something for someone else, and that's great. But when I'm finished, I really need the freedom to use that other half of my brain, and I don't want to be restricted in any way, because I spend most of every weekday restricting myself as a part of doing my job. So when I come home, it's like, no fetters, nobody else calls the shots, just me. And I'll be really honest, I don't want to be, but I think I should just say it, because maybe other people feel the same, and it's good to give them the chance to see that they're agreed with. Some of the things that Booktube encourages creators to do in order to get more views, I really dislike personally. I just don't want to do them. For example, Gareth at Books, Songs and Other Magic did a video the other day helping people to sort out their thumbnail, because there's a type of thumbnail that's supposed to get more views, and he's doing them now, and they look really good. I just have a thing about them, okay? It's just a personal thing. I don't want those on my channel. I like pretty thumbnails. I really don't want a picture of me making a face because you need this cutout face. I just like, no, I don't want to do those. I've seen other channels do those really well. Nick at Dr. Cranky Pants Reads, he does the proper thumbnails, right? They look really good. It's not a question of, oh, I hate those thumbnails because I'm watching those videos, right? I'm clicking on them. So what can I say? They're obviously really clickable. I just don't want to do them. This is how much freedom I want. I want the freedom that every aspect of my channel presentation is me, and isn't me going, oh, okay, YouTube want me to do this, I better truckle down and do what they want. It's like, no, I want total artistic freedom. And yes, that might mean that it takes me ages to attract people. I don't care, because this place is where I am 100% me. Like, all my brain is firing, not just part of it. And I need that very much. And so slow channel growth is just irrelevant to me. It's freedom that matters so much more. Okay, we got to get moving. Question 5 is, can you describe your ideal viewer? The kind of person who's most likely to watch your material consistently and subscribe? Yes, I can. The person who's going to like my channel is never going to suffer from FIFO, that fear of missing out thing, or whatever it is. FOMO. It's FOMO, fear of missing out. FIFO. What the heck is FIFO? I hate acronyms. That's another thing, but that's for a whole different tag. FOMO. If you have FOMO, you'll hate my channel, because I'm always running behind. I don't seem to care about the latest anything, except randomly, when you least expect it. So there we go. The person who has no FOMO, who's reading books from I don't know how long ago, who shuffles around in secondhand bookshops and finds little treasures, things that nobody's been reading for years. Those are the kind of people I like to watch, and I think they'll like to watch me. The second thing is people who people who just want like summaries or quick impressions of a book. So they want me to go through several books in one video. I'm really sorry. You're going to hate my videos because I sit there with one book and I can spend 15 to 19 minutes blabbing on about that one book. And then I close off. It's like, wait a second. You want several recommendations, not just one. And I might not even recommend the book because I might say, well, look, here's some characteristics of this book. If you're not keen on that, that's what you're getting. So you might come away from the video thinking, I don't even want to read this book. But I've watched a whole 17-minute video telling me about it. So really, you have to be interested in books in kind of a nerdy way, and you just want to hear somebody talk so that you can know, will I or will I not want to read this book, and why? And thirdly, if you're a person who likes to see big book hauls and unparcelings just because you enjoy, it's like enjoying somebody else's retail therapy vicariously. If you really get off on that, oh, you're just going to be so frustrated with my channel. So the person who watches my channel isn't going to be interested in whether I buy a lot of the latest books or I buy books that are particularly beautiful as objects, because that, again, that's random. I do have a couple of books that happen to be beautiful, but it was kind of accidental how I came to them. And question 6, name 3 Booktube creators that you think, if people like my channel, they're probably going to like these channels. And I'm going to name 3, and they're newer channels. In fact, I don't think either of them have reached their 2nd birthday. First of all is Andy at Really Random Reads. I'm going to give him another shout out because I watch everything he's made so far, and he never says, I never get through a video without going, whoa, okay, that's interesting. Either about a book that I've already read, or he presents a book that I haven't read with such insight that I think, okay, right, I really feel like I know the book at that point. So there's him. There's also Callosum Books, which I believe the presenter is Matt. And again, I don't think he's 2 years old yet. He's growing very fast, his channel, but he reads serious fiction. I mean, heavy stuff. He's just finished reading Melville's Moby Dick, and he's given the best talk and analysis about that novel that I have found on Booktube so far. I'm not saying there isn't one. Maybe I just don't go looking for Moby Dick as much as I should, but it's fantastic. And thirdly, I've got an absolutely brand new channel. This is Dan. The channel is Dan Thompson 152, but I think he also calls himself Ridanculous, like ridiculous with his name. Brand new. And the sound quality is, you will have to put the volume up because I think he's in a meeting room. I think he just does these at work, sits down. But oh my word, he travels a lot as part of his job. I believe he works for a charity, so he's been a lot of different places. When he talks about where he's been, you think, where haven't you been, Dan? And he knows a few languages, some Chinese, and he's mentioned a couple of other languages. So he understands the fiction culture in countries where we don't tend to read the authors as often. And so I really appreciate that when he holds up a book, I probably won't have seen it. I probably won't have heard of the author, but I'm going to know that book. And so he's hunting in little corners of the fiction world. And that's what really works for me. I need to know about obscure books, not the latest thing that everybody's reading. That appeals to me more. So if that appeals to you, Dan Thompson 152, it's your channel. Go there. And question 7 is where you should do a tribute, and I'm going to do a tribute to 3 people who their commenting and their interaction with me is so good that I have to give them a shout out because we always have a talk. I mean, I've got to say Joseph Francis Burton right away because we have interacted, I think, from the beginning of my channel. And so there's Joe. He will give you long comments. Like if he's interested in what you're reading, get ready. If he knows something about what you're reading, get ready because you will learn something from him. His comments are in themselves additions to what you've learned from reading the book yourself. But there's a couple of others. I'm going to talk about Booktube commenters who don't have their own channels because they get neglected. And so I'm going to shout out to Elfie Austin 3709 because she and I had a conversation about this, how there is this category of viewer. They have a presence on YouTube, but they don't produce their own content, but they watch lots of people's videos. They leave good comments. They interact in a way that gives you more and adds to your understanding of the book. But because they don't do their own content, they don't get mentioned so much. And maybe we need to do this, everybody out there who's content creators. Notice your commenters that you're interacting with who aren't making material over their own, because they don't get shout outs. And I think they deserve it, because Elfie leaves some fantastic comments, and it's been great having conversations with her. And there's another channel I owe credit to, and that's Grey Fear, who has been working their way through all the Middlemarch meditations. And you need to go into one of those and just look at their comments to see their virtuosity, because they're kind of stream of consciousness commenting while they're listening to the videos. And they do add their own insights, and I've learned from that, and again, or picked up ideas. Sometimes those comments have been the spark for something that becomes part of a later Middlemarch meditation. And I'm breaking my own rule again, because I said 3 people, and now I'm going to talk about 4. But this, I'm saving kind of the best for last. I want to reach out to Nick at Dr. Cranky Pants Reads. Again, I think his channel is under 2 years old, but it's growing like nobody's business. That's because Nick's doing all the right things. And he's really doing them. If you go and watch one of his videos, you will see his thumbnails are professional looking. When he gets on camera, you can tell that he is the producer, director. He runs the props, he runs the costumes, he runs the makeup, and he's the writer, and he's the sole performer of his material. It's fantastic stuff. He is a teacher, and he's, I don't know, but okay, I'm guessing he's the kind of teacher, because I had a couple of these in high school, and you may have had too with your schooling. The kind of teacher, they make you so fascinated with a subject because they just put so much passion into it that when you're outside of school, you think about and talk about what they taught, and that doesn't always happen. And so I just feel like he must be that kind of teacher. He's that entertaining to watch. I say that, but my third point is he's entertaining, but he's not shallow. Okay, there's a difference. Like, you can be both entertaining and give people depth and understanding and something they can really chew on in a video. And he does both. So this is my triple shout out to him. Like, these are the reasons you need to go to that man's channel right now, subscribe, watch his stuff, because it's good. It's entertaining, but you will take something away from it besides just, oh, I had a good time. And finally, question 8. Are there any further changes that I'm thinking of making to my channel as time goes on? Well, I mentioned subtitles, and I'm saying it again because Marion, writer in Rwanda, I'm kind of committing myself. I'm like, I want to get that done, because I think if my channel has broad appeal, since I want to know about fiction from corners of the world, well, I need to reach those people in corners of the world. So subtitles would just be a kindness. I would reach a bigger audience. So I'm definitely wanting to do that. The other thing I'm thinking I should do, which I've said that I hate doing, but I think there need to be some exceptions. I don't tend to like books that are written in a series. I'm like, oh no, I only want to read a one-off book and then I want to move on to something completely different. However, I did read Mallory Blackman's Noughts and Crosses, and I said at the time that I was so impressed and I wanted to read the rest of the series. Okay, so I've said that out loud on a video and I haven't followed up. That always annoys me when I don't follow up what I say on a video. And secondly, what I have been reading quietly in the background while you have all been getting Middlemarch March is Elena Ferrante's My Brilliant Friend, which is the first of 4 novels called the Neapolitan Quartet, I believe it is, of novels. And I have someone else that I know who's not on Booktube, but they're interested in books, and we've been having a dialogue about that first book, and they've been telling me that the second book they're like struggling with a little bit. And so of course I'm curious. I'm like, yeah, okay, let's look at that book. Let's see what happens as we move on through a series, because the reason I don't tend to read series is I think they have weaknesses in the later books. I feel as though they are published because publishers like them, not because a series is necessarily the best way to go with the story. And maybe if I take something, an example like this one with Elena Ferrante's books, and I read all 4, I can talk about, okay, where are the strengths and weaknesses? And did this have to be a series of books? Or could it have been maybe just 2 novels? Maybe pick the high points, why not? And leave out the other 2, or whatever I see as I read through the books. I want to bring that to the channel because I think that's important. So those are two changes I'd like to make. Oh, okay. Thank you everybody for letting me blab away on my second channel birthday. That was a lot of fun. I've got to get back now, though, to middle March. That's serious. We're still doing it. I will be in a situation this weekend where I probably won't be able to record, or I'll be able to film but not edit and get something out for you. Nevertheless, so I may be a bit late. I guess that's what I'm saying. It might not be Sunday, might be Monday that you get either a middle March meditation or the continuing vlog looking at George Eliot's biography. I'm going to leave it there. Leave it a little bit unpredictable because, you know, when life is unpredictable, you can't always tell what you're going to produce as content. In the meantime, everybody, have great reading. Everybody, I wish you the best for your channels, whatever your intention is to do with the content that you create. And everyone, take care of yourselves until we see each other again. Bye-bye.